Hello everyone, I am Tacet and welcome to the Gems of War Raids week 28, day 7. So of course today, as it is Sunday, we're going to be going over all the things that are going to be coming out next week. Also, I will still be getting up that video briefly going over, of course, this week's stuff, just to kind of recap it. Of course, most noteworthy thing to mention right now for this current week is... Possessed King is in Soulforge. I'm pretty sure I would have not go for it personally, as we are going to be getting another Darkstone troop as our next mythic, so you don't really need to prioritize it. And Leprechaun works almost the exact same in many situations, so you just go Leprechaun instead. But Elemental Bow, if you haven't crafted it yet, highly advise getting this thing before this week ends. It is a really nice weapon to have. I use it occasionally for some of my Guild War defend. I don't feel like I use it offensively that often, but Elemental is a pretty good typing. Doesn't have a hero class for it yet, but it's strong overall and has a lot of potential moving forward. So definitely advise at least getting that if nothing else. But yeah, this was an extremely uneventful week. I haven't covered a video on it yet. It's it almost doesn't even matter, though I do still want to cover one really briefly. But and then next week we'll be able to go back to normal schedule now that we're finally back. My sleep schedule has still been so far off though. I tried sleeping early, like last night. Like as soon as the videos were up, I was like in bed, and I think I slept for like 6 hours because I went to sleep earlier, but my body's like, nope, don't want sleep. And then it was up as like, oh, now I can't go back to sleep. It's really weird. But anyways, long story short, let's go into next week's event stuff. So for next week. As far as the troop that we're going to be having within the shop, pretty good trait stone. It is an epic that will be coming in with green-purple. Green-purple is used for a lot of empowered troops. Highly advise stocking up, or at least getting this thing maxed if nothing else, if you're not going to stock up beyond that. But as far as the troop, it has Empower. Of course, any of them that have Empower is going to be generally pretty decent, or at least usable in some kind of situation. It converts all blue to red off of Empowered, and then inflicts bleed onto the strongest enemy. Not really much of a side effect compared to Mercy. Of course, generally, Mercy is the comparison for most Empowered troops, as it was the first, and oddly enough, one of the best of the converters as far as what their secondary effects are for the Empowered converts. But nonetheless, he does get a bleed. Bleed's not really going to do much. I guess it's technically slightly better than poison in most situations, but still overall going to be pretty lackluster, just doing a single bleed. But of course, it'll mostly be used for its blue to red Empower convert, if it's ever going to be used at all. It has greedy, and of course, obviously, is empowered, which gives it all of its value. I personally feel like this thing will not really be used much. Obviously, it still will have the convert power, but every other aspect of it, aside from its Empower Convert, is relatively useless. It's also green-purple coloration, which means it's going to be outclassed by Leprechaun in most situations, so very, very rarely are you going to bother using this thing. But that's coming in. You might still want to stock up because green-purple trait stones, nonetheless, are really good to have. Other than that, we have ourselves a new legend coming in Event Key Drop Table next week. It'll only be available in Event Key Drop Table next week, and then it'll be available a month after in every single key that's applicable, Glory Gem Guild and VIP chest. But for next week only, it'll only be in Event Keys, and then it'll be gone for a month. This thing is going to have a rogue, 50% mana starts. There are currently very few rogues in the game. However, in time, this thing will be pretty good. Also, I really love the art for it. Probably one of my favorite arts of anything we've gotten this year, though we haven't really gotten many that year, have we? But yeah, it's pretty cool. Other than that, as far as what it does, other than the 50% rogue start, and of course it itself is a rogue, it deals damage to an enemy, and if the enemy is submerged, it will kill them. This will obviously be a pretty hard counter to anything that just randomly runs submerge. This is most noteworthy with Frostmage hero class or any other hero class that spam submerge onto your entire team. This will be able to hard counter that pretty easily, since every single shot he does will end up instant killing the submerged target. Even if the enemy does not use submerge, one interesting thing about this thing is it also gets to submerge them. If they're not submerged, it will simply submerge them. Though ideally you'd obviously be wanting to use this thing against things that specifically are submerged so that you can instant kill them instead. This kind of reminds me of Bonnie Rose, except you can actually secure 100% get the kill, and you get some extra rogue bonus on top of that, plus it doesn't have a gold dependency. Overall, this thing has a lot of potential. However, in the current state of the game, I don't feel like it's going to be used for much due to the lack of rogue options that are going to synergize with it or just be used in general. There is 0 mythics that are rogue, oddly enough. I didn't even realize that until the other day. And there's very few legends. So, yeah, rogues have such a small amount. of higher rarity troops. That'll probably change as time goes on, obviously. But as it currently stands, relatively average and only really a submerge counter, more so than anything. This Friday, we're going to be getting a new faction. I'm still not 100% sure if it's Magrim Woods or Urskea, but based on what we currently know, it seems like it's going to be from Magrim Woods, even though I believe that one website still says Urskea for whatever reason. But yeah, it should be a Magrim Woods faction, but not 100% certain on that. But nonetheless, we will be getting 4 new troops, as we do with every single faction. As far as the Beastmaster here, it is 18 mana cost, brown-red, converts all blue gems to red and all brown gems to skulls, so a double convert. If I'm not mistaken, this is only the second double convert that has been added to factions. The first one being Alderfather, and I don't believe there are any others, unless I'm forgetting one. It hunters marks the first 2 enemies, which is pretty good with something that has skull spam, especially with the fact that it might be able to synergize with another skull spamming troop for a double skull spam. I'm not actually sure what that synergy would be if it does have one like that. It would have to use... Well, I guess it doesn't have to use red. It actually feeds mana into himself. Interesting. He converts blue to red, so yeah, he does actually feed into himself. Interesting mechanic there. And brown to skull, which is something that a few of the other double converts have too, so he might not be able to synergize as well in that regard. Though, maybe Divinia, because it does get to convert red to skulls. Trying to think of another one that it might be able to go for. But nonetheless, other than that, there's a 25% chance that it'll transform into a Werewoods Beast. So that's a little bit of a bad thing. That would explain why his ability is so good. I was going to say, why does he feed mana into himself? Because I don't believe any of the other ones do. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Divine Ishbala does. But, okay, that's actually going to make him a little bit less viable then. Though we don't know what that one is. It's one of the other troops here. Which one is Werewoods? I should probably look at that now. That's a Werebear. That's a Werebird. That's a Werecat. Wait, what? There's a 25% chance to transform into a... Oh, duh. A Werewoods Beast. That's the name of the faction. So it's referring to any of the other things from the faction. Interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That is really luck-based in a negative way. Because you're going to constantly be worried about this thing accidentally converting into something that you don't want it to be. That is very weird. What's this unique thing? Gives +2 life and attack to all beast allies whenever matching 4 or 5 times gems, which isn't really that good. So yeah, that does seem a little underwhelming just due to the luck factor. But I don't know. It's a nice convert. It just, you don't want it being transformed. That's a really weird mechanic to add to one of them. Also, I didn't even say hello to everyone yet. Hello, Isabel. Hello, Mobarashi. Hello, Cookie. Hello, Jefferson. Hello. Just reading through chat, make sure I'm not missing anything. Hello, Steve. Hello, Jellybean. Hello, Mobarashi. Hello, Birdleaf. Let's see. And hope all of you have had a good weekend so far. Or I should say so far. It's already over, pretty much. The weekend. Hello, Drock Savage. Hello, Jeremy. Hello, here's a Drock Savage. Hello, Zeddicus. Hello, Paulie. Hello, Joseph. Hello, Ben. Hello, Runus. Welcome, welcome. Okay, let's go for the other 3. So, other thing. Berserker Bear. As far as what this does, it explodes magic divided by 2 plus 1 red gems. So that's not going to be too bad. And then it enrages itself. That's also okay. And then there's a 20% chance to transform into a Torburn, which is one of these other troops. And other than that, it has 20% score reduction and nothing else that's pretty relevant. And 20% score reduction is pretty bad since it's even worse than 25%. And as far as Torburn, I have no clue what troop that actually is. Though I'm sure it's one of these other ones, right? That's weird. It's not any of these other 2 troops. What is a Torburn? Torburn? Oh. Oh! Wait, do all of them convert back into him? That makes more sense now. Ah. I see. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense. I didn't realize that one was actually the Torburn. Well, it's Beastmaster Torburn. Okay, I see. Okay, that's an interesting Beastmaster mechanic. I see now. I wish that percent was higher, though. But it seems like this thing can convert into any of the other ones, and then all the other ones convert back into him. That's going to be a really annoying mechanic. that makes all 4 of these rather bad. Well, I guess it technically buffs up these 3 since transforming into him is actually beneficial. But the fact that he can transform back into the other 3 is not beneficial. It's an interesting mechanic. It's just not going to be strong. But anyways, there's that. As far as Werebird, it deals magic plus 3 damage to an enemy, boosted by red gems at a 3-to-1 boost ratio, and then there's a 15% chance to transform back into Torburn. And other than that, has a half mana start. It also gets to do 2 times damage on skulls. So it does get to get a little bit more higher damage, and probably has the highest damage output of anything in this faction. So how's that going for it, if nothing else? The ability is rather lackluster, though, since it's not going to get much of a boost ratio and has a pretty low chance to transform back into the decent troop. Other than that, for the epic, we deal magic plus 4 damage to an enemy. If there's 13 or more red gems, it will deal triple damage and create 8 red, which actually isn't that bad. Because not only are you getting a lot more damage, you also have a pretty decent extra turn potential. 8 red's not a lot, but if you're doing on a board that has 13, that's a pretty good chance that it will land. And then there's 25% chance it transforms into Torburn. One other thing that's pretty noteworthy of that is it will feed mana back into itself. So it'll create a bunch of red and then become Torburn, which also uses red, which would still allow it to use its ability. And other than that, its most relevant thing is its 20% dodge. Overall, it's an interesting concept. It feels like it's going to be very weak, though. Seems like this entire faction is going to be pretty weak. The double converter is going to be a lot weaker than other double converters because you have to worry about it transforming into something that isn't a double converter. And all these other troops are pretty average. And while they do transform into a troop that is pretty decent, that's not enough to give them value to actually be used. So overall, it looks like a pretty lackluster faction. Doesn't seem like one that's going to be bringing in anything too unique. And you're not even going to be able to use this double converter like a normal double converter because you're going to have this constant liability of it constantly, potentially, out of nowhere transforming into a troop that ruins your build. So, especially since everything in this faction obviously uses vastly different colors. So you're going to be blocking various colors that you might need on other various troops if you're expecting the thing to be brown-red and then it transforms into something like red-green. And then you end up blocking green or any other kind of situation like that. So overall, I don't know. I don't care for the faction. I like that they're trying a different premise. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be too good for the most part. And here's just a page with everything. Anything else relevant coming this week? I don't believe there was. Where's the return to main page? I believe that's the one. What else was there? What else? Weekly events. I don't think we were getting anything this Wednesday. This Wednesday we're getting the mini mimic. Nope, we're just getting the gold bonus thing. Class event, we just have Blackhawk, which makes sense, and given that we're getting Blackhawk troops, and yeah, nothing else to really mention then. We pretty much just have some decent troops coming in on Monday, then we have a whole faction coming in on Friday with nothing too good, and then we probably have next patch next week. That's something else. We'll have more info on that probably on Tuesday. Monday night we'll be getting more info on it, but it'll be after our stream. But yeah, by Tuesday we'll have more info on that. And, of course, we'll go over it when applicable. And, yeah, that's pretty much everything happening next week. Nice Monday events, new faction Friday, and hopefully version 4.75 patch. Which is very likely to occur this Tuesday, though it has not been confirmed. Also, hello, Ben. Hello, Matt. Welcome, welcome. Also, we got purple deeds today. Which is another thing. Purple deeds, of course, being the most valuable deed in the game as it currently stands, just because they can be used for magic bonus kingdoms, and magic bonus kingdoms are very good. What happened with Nisha Medal is no more an Explore. They exist. We're doing an Explore 3, so there's a 0% chance of getting Nisha. There's also a 0% chance of getting Anu at this level. I'm just doing it for, oh, sorry, we're not even doing it right now. We're just doing dailies. But if we were doing Explore 3, I'm just so used to using this team for Explore 3. But if we were doing Explore 3, there's a 0% chance for Anu and Nisha, which is why it seems like we're not getting any anymore, because it's literally impossible for us to get any at that level range. Only if we were doing Explore 12 would we really be getting a high rate of both of them. Because if I'm not mistaken, Anu's start at around 6 or 7, and Nisha's start at 10, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously you'd want to do it at 12 if you're going to bother farming either of those two. Yeah, that's why it seems like we haven't been getting as many. Because a lot of the farming I've been doing, particularly since I've gotten back, from break has been trying to level up this hero class from when I was away. And we're almost there. I want to get to 70 by Purple Guild War Day, of course. And then we'll cover info on it at that point. But I've been doing power leveling with it, which makes it so we have to do a lower level delve or a lower level explore. And in doing so, we basically sacrifice getting any niches or anus in order to get quicker class XP. Oh, so we should be about level 60 at this point. I think we're just ever so slightly off, right? Yep. So we're getting there. Probably be around 61 by the end of stream. And then the other 9 levels will take 3 hours or so. I should easily be able to get that in before Purple Guild War Day. And on Monday we'll know exactly when Purple Guild War Day is. If it's Tuesday, we'll probably farm it all tomorrow night. But there's a good chance it'll be later in the week. It would be pretty unfortunate if it was immediate, because I'd prefer doing it slowly over time than trying to rush it all up. But there we go, 4 extra purple deeds. I believe we get 4, right? It's like 4 or 5. Pretty sure it's 4 for epic. So that should bring us to, I believe, 12 purple total, if I'm not mistaken. Which actually, I guess, is the easy way to check. Let's go to Karkaroff. Yeah, we got 4. Epic purple ends up giving 4. So I can actually go to level 13 on any kingdom. I'm going to hold for now, though. Want to wait until we have 30 before I bother using my purple deeds. Just because we don't currently know what the next purple faction is going to be. And obviously we'd want to make it to one of the 3 magic ones. But we need to see what it will actually be. And I don't believe we currently know that info yet. Actually, there is a place we can go look for that info. Oh, no, we can't. I forgot. We won't know that info until next patch. Because next patch, the files will update for about a month or 2 in advance. Or even 3 months, depending on when next patch is coming. But we'll know at least a month or 2 in advance after next patch, which is likely coming next week. And at that point, we'll know when the next purple faction probably is. So at that point, I could probably allocate where my purple deeds will go. But at this current moment in time, we actually don't know which purple kingdom we want to do between Karkaroff, Darkstone, and Blade of the Lands. But we should know that info as soon as next patch hits. And I'll mention it then. But right now, we just don't know that info. Of course, Diamond Day, so don't forget to go get your diamonds off of dungeons. Go get all those. And also, you might want to use this to go get Elemental Bow. Last day to go get Elemental Bow if you wanted to go get it this week. Very good weapon to go and get. Not too big a deal if you do miss out on it, but it is a decent utility weapon. It's not required for much, and it's used. You almost see me like never using it, pretty much. But I do use it for one of my Guild War defends, for Truffle. And it's going to have a lot of potential if the Elemental Hero class ever gets introduced into the game. Because Elemental typing right now is one of the stronger typings in the game. The only real big thing holding it back is no Elemental Hero class. But that could change in the near future. Like if 4.8 patch, 2 patches from now, ends up doing a class rework, and we end up getting an Elemental class due to that class rework, Elementals are going to be really strong with Elemental Bow at that point. But that is not the case currently. But it likely will be into the future. Because I'm pretty sure they're going to make it so eventually every single class has a typing. Or, you know, that every single typing has a class, I mean. Because right now there's still several missing. We don't have Elemental, we don't have Construct, we don't have a War Gear, oddly enough. We don't have a War Gear hero class. Because Magrim Woods is Beast and not War Gear. And it's the only place where a War Gear would actually fit. And we're missing a few others too, I forget the full list. Okay, take out this last one, go claim our diamonds. Keep hoarding them because I have nothing to use them on. And they're probably never going to add something to use them on because there's already so many things to use diamonds on. But if you own everything in the game, there's almost nothing to use diamonds on, oddly enough. How many diamonds do we have right now? We can craft like 14 mythics or something. This is absurd how much resources we have in that regard. We have enough to craft 14 mythics. Technically 15, almost 16. Because you have to keep in mind, I'm holding these in case they can ever be crafted into something else. But we have enough to craft a whole mythic's worth, almost a mythic and a half worth of diamonds. So that's a lot of diamonds there. But yeah, 14 mythics. Technically 15, almost 16. This is how many we can currently craft out of diamonds, and we have nothing else to go and use them on currently. because the only other main thing you use them on is crafting old weapons. But of course I own every weapon in the game. Wait, I do own Crown, right? Oh yeah, I just haven't bothered using it this week. That was the new weapon that came out of Faction. It's not that relevant, but I did get it, right? It should. Weapons, unowned. Yeah, I own them all. Yep, 286 out of 286. We own them all. Wait, why are we missing more pets? Unowned. Wait, why is there so many pets missing? I'm only missing one pet, the android pet. Maybe they already put the lunar pet in the drop table? Or, you know, in the game, which is why it's showing up like that. What'd the other pet then be? Because one of those is likely the 2020 lunar pet, which is coming in like 2 weeks or so. 2 or 3 weeks. Like 2 or 3 Wednesdays from now, not this Wednesday. Trying to think, why is that? I know one of them's the android pet, which I didn't bother getting. Oh yeah, new faction pet's probably, yeah, that's right. It's probably new faction pet, android pet, and 2020 lunar pet. Is probably what those 3 things are. Because we're getting the new faction pet on Friday. We're getting the lunar pet in soon. Definitely by the end of this month. I forget the exact date. And the other one's the $50 android pet, which I obviously haven't bothered buying. I do have the Steam one, though. I don't have the android one. Sir Teddy pet? What is that one from? But anyways, let's go grind out this hero class. Of course, that's one of the main goals I want to get done before Purple Guild War, is actually go get this thing leveled. This was the hero class that came out last week's Friday, and we still haven't got it leveled yet because I was gone when it ended up coming out, so I wasn't able to do the event at all. And now I have it so under-leveled, so trying to get it to 70 so we can actually use it for Purple Guild War, because it is really strong for Purple Guild War. It's probably one of your best options, or best utilities for Purple Guild War now. And you can easily just simply get it from completing out the kingdom and then going and using it for Purple Guild War whenever you want then. And you just simply do Silver Glade to go and unlock it. Anyway, I'll take that for now. Get her to level 60. And then we'll hand out code once we get to level 60 as well. Which we should be pretty close to right now. What do I think about the next mythic? It's probably going to be weaker than Possessed King. But it's probably going to be worth crafting. Because if you had to choose between Possessed King and this new mythic, even though Possessed King is theoretically going to be better value, most likely, to most people, it is actually better to get this new mythic. And the reasoning behind that is due to the fact that you can only get Possessed King through 4,000 diamonds, yet you can get this mythic through Glory Gem Guild and VIP chests. It is theoretically cheaper to get this upcoming mythic in order to get the Kingdom of Darkstone to 10+ stars than it is to do Possessed King. Because Possessed King will have to require 4,000 diamonds, which you could use for any mythic in the game. Whereas this new mythic you could just use keys for. So I highly advise getting this mythic, if for no other reason, to get Darkstone to 10+ stars, if you don't already have a Possessed King. That alone is reason enough to try for this new mythic. As far as the mythic itself, it's basically a true damage option. It has a bunch of true damage with bleed. I personally feel like it's not going to be worth using. Just because it's really dependent on getting kills. And if it doesn't secure kills, it is going to be pretty useless to use. However, it's almost like a bit of a single target Element Grim when it does get kills. I just feel like it's going to have too high of a liability of not getting kills. This is the only big issue it's going to have. It has 0 board control if it doesn't get a kill. And has a pretty expensive ability, as most mythics do. True damage also isn't particularly meta in the current state of the game. And while this new troop will kind of help towards that direction, it's not going to seal the deal yet. The other big issue it has is it's extremely purple based, yet doesn't actually use the color of purple. Yeah, I know, her mana color is really, really bad. If they changed her to use purple, she'd probably be viable. The biggest issue is, what's the synergy troop for her? There's not really a good purple true damage mana generation option. I guess you could say Web Spinner, but you don't want to have multiple things on your team that require kills. If you put Web Spinner on your team, both the Web Spinner and her would require securing kills. But yeah, her mana color is abysmal. I forget what color it actually is, but it doesn't use purple. Yeah, everything about her is based on purple, which is a really weird mix. It's almost like if you weren't allowed to use a purple weapon with Archmagus class. It would just be kind of clunky because it's so purple based. But this mythic's even more purple based, yet doesn't even use purple. Because her ability is based on purple, and her final trait is based on purple. She has a bleed based on purple. Yeah, she doesn't actually use the color. Mother of Darkness, is that her name? I actually completely forget her name off the top of my head. I just know that she's a Darkstone mythic. And her aspects. Gotta forget her name. Let's see, we can actually go double check. Here's what she looks like. We can go bring her right up. Where's the screen for it? Oh yeah, duh. We have to go use this one. Return to main page, go to troops. But this is what we're referring to. This thing right over here. Where'd she go? Where is she? There she is. Yeah, this is the troop I was referring to. Oh, why is it not doing a new tab thing? Whoops. Can you even see that? Probably not. Let me go X this out. Let's see. Put this somewhere else. This is make a new tab, I guess. Almighty Google. Okay, so yes, Mother of Darkness is her name. She's a mythic. Oh, she's actually rogue. Hey, we finally got a rogue. I didn't even realize she was rogue. But she's a Daemon rogue. One relevant thing about her being a rogue is she actually can start with half mana start. But as far as her ability, deals magic +4 true damage to an enemy and the enemy below. So it gets to hit 2 enemies with a true damage option. That isn't too bad. Boosted by purple gems at a 10 times boost ratio. This boost ratio is very, very, very large. If there's something like 10 purples on the board, it will end up hitting for 100 additional damage. This does mean in some situations it will be able to go and get a double kill. However, this does also mean that she will be extremely hard countered by troops that have removal of purple. So she's probably not going to be a good idea to use on... Oh, never mind. I was going to say on Guild War days, but never mind. No one's going to actually counter her on most Guild War days for remove purple. So never mind. Yeah, that might actually be a decent Guild War option. I didn't think about it in that regard. But yeah, she actually has pretty good Guild War capabilities because you aren't going to be purple countered. Because it's blue, red, and brown Guild War days. No one is going to go out of their way to purple counter on a blue, red, or brown day. They would on purple, but they wouldn't most likely on those color days. So yeah, in that regard, she actually would be pretty strong. If an enemy dies, she gets to create 12 purple gems. Otherwise, she summons 2 Sister of Shadows. The summon's pretty bad, but again, in a Guild War context, being able to summon is a good thing, even if it is a bad summon. Ideally, you'd want a good summon, but just being able to summon, period, is good in Guild Wars because you get to replenish some of your score when doing so. But yeah, it's going to be decent. It's definitely above average as far as mythics are concerned. My biggest issue is with actually her securing kills, but with the amount of true damage, it should be fine in PvP and Guild War context. You just wouldn't use her to upscale at all because she would be very, very horrible for upscaling. She seems almost like exclusively a Guild War kind of troop. Is almost going to be the entirety of her value. Is a brown, red, and or blue Guild War option. But other than that, she has Darkstorm. She creates a Darkstorm when an enemy dies. That's obviously going to be pretty good with the fact that she also gets boost ratio of creating 12 purple every single time she gets a kill. So she gets both a purple storm and 12 purple every single time she gets a kill, essentially. She has stealthy, so things won't be able to target her directly. Though do keep in mind, her true damage is true damage and is not lifesteal. So she doesn't actually gain any life. So she's not like a Draculus or something like that can constantly keep gaining life. She will have a static amount, and that will just keep going down. And will probably make her a pretty big target, especially if used on defend, which probably isn't a good location for her since she could be hard countered pretty easily. But other than that, her final ability is she inflicts bleed every single time you end up matching purple, which will be happening a lot in most situations. Teams with her, for Guild War days, I feel like you would build her into Apothecary for Blue Day and into Mountain Crusher for Brown Day. I'm not sure about Red Guild War Day. But when we do a video for her, we probably will cover all 3 Guild War options. For PvP in general, you would probably use it with... I'm trying to think of like a really small true damage option. Probably Astral Spirit, oddly enough. Because Astral Spirit would not only give you Empower board control immediately, but it would also hit the first slot, which is one of the 2 things she ends up hitting. She hits the first 2 slots, right? Oh, never mind. She gets to hit the enemy and the enemy below. She can actually target them. It's not first 2. However, she does have to hit the enemy below whatever she does target. Which means you're going to be hitting something that isn't last slot with her ability. But, yeah, I feel like Astral Spirit's going to be pretty good synergy. As far as the full team, that really depends what else you want to build with it. But Astral Spirit gets first turn board control into true damage that would likely bring them into kill range. And then once they're in kill range, you can easily secure the kill by hitting first slot. You get our purple spam, you get your purple storm, you feed something that uses purple very well, and then kind of go from there. I'm just trying to think of what the other purple thing would be. I'm almost thinking Mirror, to be honest. Getting Mirror as the option to synergize with her. The new Mirror that came in with the most recent hero class, the Mirror of Good. You can end up using that as a mana generation option for her, and basically use it like a Mountain Crusher, just like a purple Mountain Crusher, essentially. And just use that to keep your team alive. So yeah, that's would probably be one of the synergies. I'm trying to think of a purple true damage option that would work. Weaver you wouldn't want to use because you'd have 2 things that need to secure kills, and generally you only ever want to have 1 thing on your team that is kill dependent, because obviously only 1 thing can get the kill, so you don't want to have multiple that need to get kill confirms. You could use Mana Generator, but you might as well just use the new Mountain Crusher, essentially. The purple Mountain Crusher that came in the other week with the new hero class. So that would be one of the routes you can go. But, I don't know. I'm trying to think of another true damage. I don't feel like there's a purple true damage that you'd want to use with it. Scion wouldn't have enough damage. His Mana Drain would be nice. But Scion has very, very low true damage. It has like 30-something split damage. That basically comes out to, what, 7 or 8 damage per enemy. It's very, very low. You should never use Scion for damage. Scion's whole purpose is to mana drain, not to do true damage, even though it technically has true damage attached to it. It's like trying to use Marilith for true damage. Yes, it can, but later in the game, it's just a very small amount. And that's basically what Scion is throughout the entire game. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting mythic, to say the least. One other thing you could possibly do is synergize it with Queen of Tanya. Queen of Tanya, the purple would go into it. Obviously, it's not true damage, but the benefit of that is Fairy Fire. And the Fairy Fire would basically mean anything that mythic touches will die. Not sure if they're going to tweak the boost ratio, though. Boost ratio does seem a little high on the mythic. At least for a PvP context. PvP Guild War kind of context. Though maybe they're preparing for stats getting higher into the future. Because stats do keep creeping higher and higher. And also with metals, you can set your HP to be 24 higher, which would be a pretty easy way to go and counter it, because you can get your HP above 100. And most boards are only going to have like 10 purple or so. Like right now, if we go check, how many do we have? We currently have, is there not a way to check? Gosh, nothing has a purple thing. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9. So she would do like, what, 110 damage or so, 120. But you can counter that by setting your life higher. Also, you have to keep in mind it's going to be less effective in Guild Wars 2 due to your higher life. You'd gain more life than you do magic. Spirit Fox? Yeah, you could use Spirit Fox. It's kind of like Astral Spirit, but without the board control, but has mana drain. And it does use purple. Grey King would be very situational for synergy. Biggest issue with Grey King is it has a really high mana cost, and you'd have 2 very high mana cost troops together. And if you're trying just to do a poke, you would most likely want to use something smaller. But Grey King, if they had 3 or 4 of the same color, you could get away with Grey King, yes. Grey King into her ability, and then win. You'd want to have the Grey King behind her, though, if you do go for that route. Definitely don't put it in front of her. Oh, I'll go for that. But yeah, it's going to be one of the more viable true damage options, nonetheless. And you'll be able to get a whole magic off her if you don't already have Possessed King, which will be nice. The entirety of her will basically make it so you don't actually have to craft Possessed King anymore. Because honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Possessed King. I know some people are. They absolutely love the troop. But the biggest issue with Possessed King is Leprechaun in many situations gets the same value or better value. There are teams where Leprechaun gets less value than Possessed King. But I feel like a lot of team compositions get better value out of Leprechaun versus Possessed King. Yeah, I know. Keylime really loves Possessed King. He considers it like one of the top like 2 troops in the game or something. Which I think he even considers it the absolute best troop in the game. I strongly disagree. There's an argument to be made that Iron Gut isn't the strongest mythic in the game anymore. Even though I still kind of consider it such. But there's no way Possessed King is. Oh, what do I grab here? I'll go for that for now. The only really good thing Possessed King is for is if you want board clear off of extra turns. It will instantly give you board clear off extra turns. Using that with a hero that has an explosion will give you 3 explosion every extra turn, which is basically a board clear simply for taking an extra turn off the board. That's probably the most useful thing Possessed King can do. But that is very situational on a few specific teams that would use it. Because your team would have to be extremely extra turn heavy to utilize that. It would also ideally would you be using Doom Skulls to some capacity, as Doom Skulls are good with explosions. Because then they could chain together to basically full board clear rather than a small board clear. Well, if High King Iron Gut faced Possessed King, High King Iron Gut would obviously win in that situation. Because you would devour the Possessed King, unless he gets transformed beforehand. You don't really use him for his transform that often, but he does have a transform utility on Possessed King. The only problem with it is it's luck-based, but he does have 20% chances to transform. One interesting thing about Possessed King's transforms, too, is they actually stack. If there's only one enemy left, or even if there's not one enemy left and you just get super lucky, you can multi-transform a single troop. Possessed King can actually triple transform a troop. And this is relevant because Transform, as of about a year and a half ago, actually has the mechanic that it lowers the enemy's level by half. So if you're using a Transform in something like, let's say, a level 400 Delve, and you transform them 3 times, you're making them go from a level 400 all the way down to a level 50, right? Yeah, because it goes to 200 the first time, then 101 the next time, and then to 50 the third time. So within one cast, you could actually lower a level 400 to level 50. However, the chance of doing so is minuscule. It's like under 1% chance that you'd hit 3 onto a single one when there's only one left. Yeah, real-time PvP is something that we have suggested to them many times. There's a lot of technicalities with it that would probably make it so they never would, or would have to take a very long time to add it to something like Gems of War. And at this point, there's a good chance they won't. But I don't know, I always wish they would at least add it to some things. Like maybe a game mode that has it, as well as being able to fight people in-game. They were considering it at one point. They were going to add a friends list to the game, which is something we still don't have in the game. Where they were going to basically make it so you could add people to a friends list, private message them, and battle them in private battles. Which would have been basically the only instance of PvP, real PvP in the game. However, they ended up scrapping in the entirety of it. So now we have no friends list, no private messaging, and no capability of fighting people one-on-one. That was something from like 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago actually. It was in the game for like a year and a half, and then the icon eventually just went away. But it was a while ago, but they never ended up implementing it. Honestly, at this point, if they're going to add PvP, they're probably just going to make a new game and just do PvP for that. And keep Gems of War more as like a single-player experience. Even though there are kind of somewhat semi-co-op related things within the game due to guilds. Hello, Rack. Welcome. Corsair is rogue too. Yes, Corsair is a rogue, so it would synergize with the new rogue troop. It is the only rogue hero class in the game. It's one of the better synergy options for the new troop coming on Monday, coming tomorrow. Yeah, I believe it's already Monday. My whole week has been so off since I've gotten back. Hopefully my mindset goes back to normal soon. Yeah, the biggest issue with real-time PvP in something like Gems of War, and this is also a problem in the Puzzle Quest games, though more so in Gems of War, is infinite loop. There's a lot of situations where in a PvP battle in Gems of War, unless they made it a specific game mode for it, but if you had the option to use anything in the game, there are so many infinite loops where you would just die and just watch someone slowly destroy you. However, there's an easy way around that. Just add a game mode that is that has PvP attached to it, where you're not allowed to use every option. Kind of like Arena, but different. Basically where you'd have to draft stuff, so you just can't get the perfect infinite. Because if you had to draft something similar to Arena, you'd get much worse teams than you would from being able to use anything in the game, obviously. And it would be a lot more balanced that way for something like PvP. Something I always wanted, given that they weren't ever going to really consider adding real PvP. One thing that they could do is add a mini game that ends up having it, which would be a lot less work. Still be a lot of work, but less so than adding, you know, like a full-blown PvP kind of option. And that would make it a lot more balanced too, since they wouldn't have to rebalance the whole game around PvP. They would just have to rebalance the new game mode around PvP. I don't know, I don't feel like people stall too much in many turn-based games. Like, it's something that does happen to some capacity, but I feel like it's very rare. Could you suggest some defend Guild War teams for people that don't have a lot of mythics? Your old video doesn't include heroes in the teams. Oh yeah, because that was before heroes even existed. Well, generally you'd want to build it around one good hero weapon every single day. Some relevant ones to mention are things like Mountain Crusher, or any of the weapons that are like Mountain Crusher, like Jar of Eyes, Essence of Evil, Mirror of Good, that came out last week. Stuff like that. And then you'd want to build a team behind that good weapon. And as far as that, you'd want to build basically color counter options. Anything that has triple damage or double damage to things related to the color of the day. All those troops that do that are low rarity troops. They even added 6 commons in the most recent patch that all have 2x damage to the opposing color. So there's definitely plenty of low rarity options that can do that now. I believe I even mentioned a few Guild War Defends that were cheap during the time when that came out. The new Guardians. But yeah, the new Guardians are great options for every single one of the color days, since they're really easy to obtain and have double damage for it. But yeah, using those hero weapons with those kind of troops, anything that has like a 2x, 3x damage to the color of the day, anything that has a removal of the color, like for example using Spirit Fox empowered on a yellow Guild War Defend day, is pretty decent early on in the game, because Spirit Fox is pretty easy to obtain, and you'd be able to deny all the yellows while also doing some damage immediately. And those are like the main 3 options that you want to build around. A good hero weapon, that's the centerpiece of the team. A counter color, so something that removes the color of whatever the Guild War Day is. Ideally with Empower, but anything that has fast or should be fine as well. And other than that, anything that can do multiplied damage to that specific color. So mostly the new Guardians. Also the not the war gear, what are they called? The Null troops are also pretty good for that. Almost all of them, if not all of them, are in the Wild Plains Kingdom. But basically what those troops do is they do a multiplied damage to a specific color, while also having skull damage against that specific color. And they work very, very well, similar to the Guardian troops, except they're a little higher rarity. Like some of them go as high as epic rarity, though the lowest one is rare rarity, which I believe is the brown one. Yeah, I hope that helps some. And every single team I just mentioned, well, it was more so strategy than teams, but the strategy I just mentioned does not actually require mythics either, nor legends. So it makes it a lot cheaper. It's not as strong as if you did have legends or mythics as options, though. In most situations. Because most Guild War Defend teams do incorporate mythics. Or at minimum several legends. Like Yagle Queen Titania combo. Also, we gained a level, didn't we? I didn't hand out a code. I said I would for that. Let me go get it. They were level 60, right? I said at level 60 we'd hand out code. Didn't realize that because I was distracted. But let me go do that. Code time. Code. Let's grab this. This should be the right one. I made sure to mark them down. And if I did so correctly, this should work. Yep, that worked. Let me go get it to you guys. Copy, paste. And here you guys go. Here's the redeem code. Use on gemsofwar.com. Read the game code section. Your invite code can be found underneath your settings menu. Whatever your game says underneath the settings in the bottom left corner right over here is what you put in. Redeem code is right over in chat. Just copy paste the random numbers and letters. And it gives the same reward as always. 2 treasure maps, 1 gem key, 200 souls, and 2,500 gold. Enjoy, everyone. And it's only usable on PC mobile version. Also, there's a thing for our level up. And let's go take tribute. So saw that blinking. Anything good in here? 13 gems. Nice. Did we get a white helm? Nice. Look at that pure glory. That's why you said white helm is your home kingdom. Look at that. 77 glory. Lucky sevens. And it has like a 40-something% chance that we get it too. Yeah, 41% chance that we get a 77 glory. That is pretty solid. Out of all the tributes in the game, white helm has the best tribute, which is why you set it as your home kingdom. It is the current most viable home kingdom that you can set. The home kingdom has very minimal effect on anything. It only really affects tribute currently. That and it affects whatever background you have behind your profile, which is fully cosmetic, though some people like having a certain effect. Similar to the background we have behind us, it's every single background in the game has a different effect. The one behind us right now is Mrs. Scales, because I keep not switching it out every single week. I need to just get like every single file saved and then start switching it out. It's gonna take like a couple hours to get every single one because I have to manually go and capture it from the game and then crop it and then make sure it's the exact time frame that I want. And yeah, that's gonna be like a several hour process. But I need to go do that someday just so we can start switching it out. I've been meaning to, but haven't been. I've been meaning to switch it to whatever the event week is. So for example, next week is Blackhawk. So I could switch it to a Blackhawk thing for the week. I need to find a day soon to go do that. Though I'm going to be busy tomorrow, and Tuesday I have an eye doctor's appointment. Getting new glasses soon. I always get new glasses every election year. I made it a habit recently. But now every election year I get new glasses. So basically every 4 years. Though I'm not actually going to have new glasses this Tuesday. I'm just getting tested and stuff. Mostly just to see what lens I need. Also, I definitely need to get non-glare ones. Because these, of course, have a really big problem with having light reflecting off them. It would be nice to finally get non-glare ones, so that's not an issue anymore. Because 4 years ago, we barely even started this channel. Actually, I don't even think we were live streaming then. I think the channel was started, but we weren't live streaming yet. Oh no, the channel wasn't even started. No, it wasn't. Because I believe I got the glasses around like March, and I didn't start the channel until April of that year. And I definitely wasn't streaming yet, even if the channel was started. I gotta have better glasses to tick the right box when we go to vote. Yeah, South Carolina votes pretty early. I believe it's March, actually. I'm still 100% Yang Gang all the way. Even if he doesn't become president, I'd really love to see him get vice president. Or at least make it into someone's cabinet. Oh, we'll throw that down for now. What else do we need? Oh, we'll go into this one. Oh yeah, I forget if Lindsey Graham is up for re-election or not this year. I cannot remember. Because he's one of the 2 South Carolina senators. Not personally a huge fan of him. But I have no clue who he's up against. there is a possibility that whoever he's up against is even worse. I haven't actually double checked that. Probably should. There's a good chance he's just gonna win in landslide. The state is very, very, very heavily leaning towards the right. Which is good for lower taxes. But not good for several other things. What do we take here? Take that for now. It's probably one of the reasons I'm more for Andrew Yang as well. Because the big issue with some people on the left is their policies can be pretty anti-small business. And I'm not a fan of that. But I am generally left-leaning. Oh, what do I take here? Go for that for now. Get our splodies. And then we swipe them out. I'll take brown for now. And easy one shot. Not like we even need to worry about that. There's almost no instances where it wouldn't. I think the only instance we really wouldn't in this faction, or this kingdom I mean, is if we had a situation where what's his name? Goblin King is in last slot. It makes it so it has enough durability to sometimes not one-shot. And even in those situations, you might have enough damage to still one-shot it. Especially if we did Explore 2 rather than 3. I always like doing Explore 3 because ever so slightly more resources. Might as well. But if anyone still has any other questions, do let me know. Because as soon as we hit level 61, I'm probably going to wrap up for now. And then tomorrow night, we'll mess around with the new 50% rogue start that we get tomorrow. With that heavy submerge counter. Though we won't really be able to mess much with the submerge counter. Obviously, that aspect of it is super situational. But, yeah, we will be getting that. The other troop wasn't really too useful. But the rogue is pretty nice. The parrot that we're getting tomorrow. And also we can prep for Guild Wars tomorrow. Hello, Contendo. Welcome. So Goblin has 2 kings. High King, Iron Gut, and Goblin King. Yes. Oh, nice. We just got 1,000 glory. But yes, the kingdom does have 2 kings. Actually, now that I think about it, I didn't even notice that. But yeah, Zhejian might be the only kingdom with 2 kings. What other kingdom has 2 kings? I don't think there is one. I never even noticed that. But yeah, Zhejian has 2 kings. High King Iron Guts and Goblin King. However, they reside in different areas, so I guess that's why there's 2 kings. Oh wait, 3. King Gobtruffle. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, that's the one that resides in a different area. I knew there was another king. But yeah, Gobtruffle resides in the faction, whereas Goblin King resides in the kingdom. However, Gobtruffle also resides in the kingdom. I guess the kings never conflict because they're so large. They can't even reach the other location. Well, I guess they would still have minions that would fight for them. I guess the goblins didn't rebel against the 2 kings yet. Against each other. But yeah, I was going to say, it would make sense if one king was in the faction and then the other king was for the kingdom. But no, there actually is 2 kings for the kingdom and 1 for the faction. They just love having kings, apparently. Every goblin's a king. The Goblin Queen has 3 kings. That's one way of looking at it. Mobarashi has a dirty mind. And that's what your fan fiction is about. The adventures of Queen Gobtruffle. Or sorry, Queen Grapplepot, I mean. And the 3 kings. I really wish you could see EXP on one of these pages. Doesn't make any sense why it's not on the final screen. Doesn't make any sense at all. What pure faction team would you use for Dark Pits? I'm pretty sure I just used one of each. Using the brown-yellow as the tank, the legend. It doesn't really have any particularly good setup. Unless you wanted to try random stats affecting it. But then you're going all in luck-based. Yeah, I just ended up going in one in each. Just for the extra stats. In hopes that your first slot wouldn't die. You'd also probably want to run the faction with a lot of life. Either 16 life or 24 life. Unless you want to double up on the legend so you could tank. But you ideally want the legend surviving for the final battle. Because he's the tankiest of all of them. I do not advise doing Dark Pits without potions, though. It's a really hard faction to do without potions. Unless you get really lucky off of random stats effects. But he doesn't even do enough. I believe he just does a double poke of random stats effects. So that's not even enough to really get a lot down. Because it's very unlikely he would get Death Mark, and even if he does, it's very unlikely he would get a kill off that Death Mark. Plus, I believe one of them has Impervious too, so you can't even Death Mark it. believe the green-red. I forget which one, but one of them definitely has Impervious, I do recall. It's actually about how High King Irongut betrayed the Goblin King and Grappapot and Gobtruffle, his son, who ran away and started his own king. It's a lot. That's an interesting fan fiction. Have you already finished it? I might need to read it sometime, or are you still working on it? I need to get back into writing. That's two things I need to get back into this year. Writing and learn to draw. Well, I should say back into writing, but learning to draw is its own project. I really want to focus on that some this year. Haven't yet. Need to though. Oh, so we gained that level. Keep missing every single time we gain the level, but yeah, we did get 61 in there. So if anyone still has any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, probably going to start wrapping up for tonight. And we'll have the video going over just a recap of this week, if nothing else, coming up soon. And obviously we'll be covering tomorrow's event video. Soon, TM. Obviously we can't cover it yet. It hasn't even happened yet. And also we're probably getting a new patch next week. Probably on Tuesday. However, no official date has been given. We'll have a preview on Monday. I'll be going over it on Tuesday. And there's a good chance that we might even literally be having the patch on Tuesday. So we could go over it with the patch actually occurring. Regardless, we're going over it on Tuesday. Regardless if the patch happens or not. Write a story and then illustrate it. That would be difficult to do, one step at a time. Hello, Haley. Welcome. The Adventures of Gems of War stick figures. My stick figures are so crudely drawn that you can barely even tell that they're stick figures. But anyways, any other questions, anyone? Otherwise, that will wrap it up for now. Don't forget to go do your diamonds for today off of dungeons. Don't forget to go take the purple deeds. Also, don't forget, since I haven't really mentioned it in a dedicated video yet, will be. Though by that point, it's almost going to be over. But I do want to recap the week, if nothing else, since we cover it every single week. But I wasn't really around to cover it this week. But don't forget, you can pretty much ignore Possessed King and everything else in Soulforge. But Possessed King is the best if you're going to go for it. But Elemental Bow. If you're doing anything in Soulforge this week, Elemental Bow is the thing to go for. It's relatively cheap, and it has a lot of potential. I also use it for one of my Guild War Defend days, personally. But even if you're not using it for that, it's Elemental bonus. And even though there's no Elemental hero class, Elementals are one of the better typings in the game at this current moment in time. And for that reason, it is worth considering getting this bow. As if we get another really good Elemental that synergizes with it, it could potentially be like as meta as Divine Protector was at one point. It almost is that way now. It's not all the way that strong yet. But obviously one of the bigger things that I synergize with is Truffle at the moment. But yeah, definitely feel free to leave a like. Definitely helps out a lot, as Drock mentioned. Hello, Teddy. Did you ever retire your Discord information? Or retrieve my Discord information? Isabel just posted it right there. Unless you're referring to something else. Not sure what you were referring to by that, though. But a Discord link Isabel just posted, if anyone's interested. What's a good single Gobtruffle team? This one. We actually use as our defend for one of the days. What day was it? I actually completely forget. This was the team I was referring to with the Elemental Bow. It's one of these. I completely forget what day I used it on. Defend purple I used it on. But it's Farce Troll, Mirage Queen, King Gobtruffle, and Elemental Bow. To my understanding from testing, this is the strongest single Gobtruffle team in the game. And it does use Elemental Bow. This is one of the only things I actually use Elemental Bow specifically for. And at this current moment in time, it's pretty much literally the only thing I actually use it for. But there's a few other purposes for it. But yeah, it's really strong with this. Everything on his team other than Hero is Elemental because Elemental can't be. However, you can still set it to Frost Mage, which has Freeze, it has Submerge. It also has gain Elementals +1 Magic, similar to how Titan can. So all 3 of your other troops will gain Magic every single time you do a cast. You also gain a Magic every single time you cast off of Arcane. So technically your entire team gains 1 Magic per cast then, since your other 3 get it off of the Elemental bonus, off this final trait, and then you get it off your Arcane. So literally your whole team gets 1 Magic every single time you cast. You have some extra Freeze, which is always good. King Gobtruffle goes crazy with Infinite Loop, as it normally does, with Disease as well. Mirage Queen for Curse, so you can Disease and Entangle, plus has some backup Skull Spam. And they also half mana starts your entire team other than Hero, but a Hero already has half mana start naturally. So even though it doesn't count as an Elemental for half mana start, nor the Arcane, or for the for the 1 extra Magic, it technically has both those effects, because it naturally has a 50% and it naturally has the Arcane. So even though it's not Elemental, it's still getting almost the full benefit of being an Elemental. It still doesn't get boost ratio off this weapon or anything, but all the extra benefits that you're getting that end up assisting, like half mana start and the extra Elemental thing, you already have through other methods. So it's not like it doesn't have it. So it ends up working out pretty nice. And of course Farce Troll is here for double green, and it's a pretty good tank and has Entangle on Skull. And even if they can't be entangled, Mirage Queen will get a curse, which will allow you to entangle. Also, you have double skull reduction up front. You have 33% reduction to 33% reduction. So even if you don't get entangle, you still have some amount of skull reduction up front, which is nice. Could you show the rest of my defense? Sure. I might be tweaking these some on Monday night, though. Do be mindful of that. But if you're curious what my current defense are, here they are. Defend red, I run Glaceon, Graveseer, Alderfather, and Doomed Blade with a Frost Mage. For green, I run a pretty standard Divine team with Rope Dart, Divine Ishbala, Moon Rabbit, and Quillen. There's a couple of different orders. I'm still not definitive on what the best order is for that team. I've tried so many orders, I'm not really sure what's best. This was the most newest one. It actually didn't do too bad last time. It's Treachery, Guardian Crown, Marilith, and Sakima. Seems like a really weird team, but it kind of synergizes because you have Assassin there, you have Treachery to initially tank with its double damage, and then you can end up switching into Hero. This ends up giving a Naga bonus to your entire team except Sakima, and then Sakima does nice skull spam to put it all together. It's a weird team, but it seems to work. Like, it scored decently last Guild War defend time. But anyways, for yellow, we run... this was also a new one. This was the first time we could really use Tanya since it got buffed last time. This will be the second Guild War word since it got buffed. And it's basically a Tanya Wild Queen team. It's a pretty decent combo. In combination, they cover every color in the game. You also have Wild Fang, which is one of those multiplier troops I was talking about earlier. It deals double damage against yellows and has triple damage off of its ability to yellows. So really hard yellow counter. It also has the other mechanic that I mentioned where you remove the color of the day. This also gets to convert all yellows to skulls. So not only do you get to do triple damage to yellows, you also get to deny all their color. And even if they somehow break through your first 2 troops, you still have Tanya Wild Queen combo. This does triple damage if they, or sorry, double damage if he has higher attack. And even if they don't initially have a higher attack, Wild Queen steals attack and gives it to your first slot. So you'll be able to steal their attack to go make Tanya have higher attack. Obviously, it'll be under AI control, but still works out pretty decently. Other than that, for Brown Day, I run standard Yagwe Queen to Tanya. This has been meta for like 2 years now. Hasn't changed. Still good. And this was the Elemental Bow team that I mentioned earlier. And that's all of them. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Well, I guess the weekend's technically over by now. But I hope you all have a wonderful week, I should say. And yeah, we'll be back very soon just to recap the week with a video and have the new event video coming out this Monday, which will, of course, go over all the new things that we're getting next week, like the two new troops that we're getting on Monday, new faction this Friday, and it's mostly relevant things. That and we're getting the patch. However, I won't be going over the patch that video. That will be going over probably Tuesday nights, hopefully with the patch actually being launched by then. But yeah, very soon, TM, we should be getting a patch. It's going to be a mini patch, so don't expect anything huge. But we are getting a patch very soon nonetheless, and it could be here by Tuesday. Who knows? It could even be here Monday night. We'll find out. Though it probably won't be Monday night because they're doing a preview at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday night. So there's a good chance it won't be. However, they have done the patch the day of the preview before. That has happened. So you never know. But anyways, guys, have a wonderful night. Catch you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and see all of you later. Goodbye, everyone.